Welcome to Before They Were, the podcast / time capsule / documentary where we drop in with incredible beings living their aligned lives during their time on this beautiful planet. We are your co-host Los, aka River Flows, joined by my co-host Tim the Magic. Thanks for joining us today. Enjoy the journey.
On today's episode, we had the privilege of interviewing one of our dear friends, Lance, and this is the first person we've had on that I truly don't know how to give him a proper intro, so I'm not really going to. I'm just going to have you listen to the whole episode. It is 100% worth it. I'm going to go out on a limb and say my favorite episode so far that we've recorded, which is saying a lot because we've recorded some pretty amazing episodes so far. So please enjoy this interview with Lance.
I have 11. Right.
Are they mainly in Texas?
No, one's in Texas. No, 3 are in Texas. 2 in Lubbock, 1 in Bastrop.
I hate Lubbock.
I've never been.
I have bad experiences in Lubbock.
Yeah.
So you buy and you haven't even been there.
Yeah.
So do you have managers for those
Right.
So you're basically just the one that's on the books with all the knowledge about it, basically?
Yeah, we're kind of like the command center, and it's like as long as we have a connection there, I wouldn't buy something where I haven't been, I haven't been to Lubbock, but I wouldn't buy something where I either haven't been or I don't know someone. I don't have a good connection. So we had a good connection there. Through one of my business partners. He had a guy that was a realtor and property manager, and he found us these rentals, and sort of might as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where are the other ones out of curiosity that are out of state?
St. Louis, Missouri. I went to school there, so I know that market well, and we had a bunch of clients there. And Florida, Sarasota, Florida.
And what's your connections
We
there?
have relatives there. So I knew the area well, and my uncle flips houses there.
Oh, yeah. So are they different kinds of rental properties, like apartment complexes, duplexes, regular houses?
Yeah, they're all residential. Anything from a single family house to up to 4 units. 4 units is the largest we have. We're about to buy a couple apartment buildings in Cincinnati.
When you say
larger.
You, I guess in your company.
Me and our company, and then we're partnering with another company, and then partnering with a guy that's in Cincinnati.
Okay.
And that's been very eye-opening, not just in real estate, but in general. It's just if you want to do something sooner, you just partner with people, collaborate, and it's and that's really what I've seen in real estate over and over again, because I'm doing the lending. People will come to me and they're buying some $5 million apartment building, and you're like, okay, who is it? And sometimes it is just one guy or one company or a family, but a lot of times it's no, it's 8 families, 10 families, and they're doctors and accountants and all this stuff, and they have kids, and they've got their lives and their jobs, and they're not really in real estate, but someone's a realtor, and he helped put it together and raise the money, and now they're buying an apartment building. So it's cool to see stuff like that.
So that starts to pour into syndications and that type of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's on the bigger end, and that's what we're trending towards. Obviously, the most money's in bigger multifamily properties like this one.
Right.
And so that's where it's going. I think before we start doing large apartment buildings, I'm really interested in Airbnb. We just got our first one in Florida up and running, and I think it'd be really cool. And I've talked about this with a lot of our friends to start buying Airbnbs in places that we want to go.
Yeah.
And then you create kind of a membership network. And so maybe let's say you get 10 people in on it, and with your money you buy 5 properties over the course of a year or 2 years, and then everyone's kind of in this club, and you get a certain number. It's almost it's a timeshare.
It's a timeshare, but it's a private timeshare.
Yeah. And then so you can't sell your ownership to someone random. It's everyone has to approve of who's in the club.
Right.
Yeah.
I've talked to Alex about that exact thing.
Yeah.
Literally we go in and we should buy these things in certain places.
Yeah.
I have a couple buddies who are huge in the Airbnb right now. I have a buddy in New Jersey who has 40 or something.
Whoa.
And then there's a guy in Chicago who they specialize in the high end. So they do the apartments that would be $15,000 a month to rent, but they have 12 of them. Right. So they, their cash flow is
and
insane.
they make $30,000 a month.
Exactly.
And that's kind of where I'm leaning too. It's rather than the one we have in Florida is just a regular house. It'll do well because it's really close to the beach. But yeah, when you get into the $1 million properties, those things make insane money, and they don't really even need to be rented out for that much of the year.
Right.
You could rent it out for half the year, then you can go visit half the year, and you're still making tons of money.
Yeah.
Because they'll rent especially like I think of Destin, Florida. Like I was just looking at properties there recently. Like they build these.
I just went there like 2-3 months ago.
Yeah.
Beautiful place.
Yeah, they build these massive houses that sleep like 20 people, and they'll rent it out for like $5,000 a night. And so someone will go there on a family reunion, and they'll drop like $30,000 for a week. Yeah. And boom, you just made like your mortgage payment for half the year, and then the rest is just profit on top of that.
I think we actually got an Airbnb in Destin. It was like probably 15 of us.
Yeah.
I think we ended up paying something like $1,000 a piece, and we were there for like 4 days.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. It was crazy. It was like $15,000 revenue in 4 days for this place.
Right.
That's insane.
So you have to get the property at the beginning.
Yeah.
We will talk more about that.
Right.
On a personal level, I want to talk.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are invited to the club. Let's buy some property.
Thank you, man.
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
I'm down. Let's like own like property all over the place between like the 15 of us towns.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
All over the world, and you can just kind of like cycle. And it's like if people want to stay in one place for longer, it's like say you want to be in one for a month. It's like okay, it's just all just coordination. Like who's gonna be where.
Or we all just have like a huge house party in like, Ibiza.
There you go.
Yeah.
We'll make sure we get the 20-person house.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
you gotta make sure you gotta come through.
Network out there for a little bit.
There you go.
Yeah.
Tim, do you mind closing that door? I think so. Very cool. So this is the beginning of before they were episode with Lance. How do I say your last name? Stukaloff?
Stukaloff.
Before Lance was.
So you know sort of the concept of this podcast. I think the question where we always like to start, and you can interpret this however you like, but where are you now?
Sure.
A little snapshot.
Yeah. Where am I now? That's a good question. Well, as we were discussing just now, real estate is something that's very present in my life. So there's a lot of that going on, and I'd say I'm in a transition period where I've built up all this momentum in real estate and my lending business and in acquiring properties, and it's steering towards what I would feel is more alignment for me personally. For a long time in real estate, I would ask myself, like, why am I in this? Like, why do I do this? Especially when I was just in lending, because from like a surface level, it just seems like, oh, you're just making wealthy people more money, and it felt like very much like I was a cog in a wheel, just kind of helping people build more cookie cutter houses and helping billionaires acquire more apartment buildings, like all this stuff, and there wasn't really a purpose to it, and so it felt kind of hollow, and that feeling has shifted, and where I feel it's going is towards using my expertise, my connections, and my network in real estate to create a new type of real estate, which is communities, which is spaces where people can be transformed and connect and create. And as I'm realizing this, and as it's become more clear to me, like, oh, this is why I'm in real estate, because now I have all these connections, I can actually change how it's done, I can create something new, that those opportunities have been coming to me. And so I recently have been getting involved in a couple of projects that are exactly that. It's like the creation of a new community type of living.
When you say a new community, what's your like ideal vision of this community? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it all centers around what I'll just call the temple space, for lack of a better term.
I like it.
But to me, like a community, any sort of community has to have something anchoring it. And that on a non-physical level, that's a shared vision. And that's something one of my buddies, Lars, and I were talking about recently, is like the community, in order to be coherent and succeed, really, like everyone has to have a shared vision of what this is, why we're here, why we're doing this, or else everyone kind of just starts doing their own thing and the energy gets diffused.
Right.
So physically, what that looks like to me is like an anchoring point. And so this is one of the projects that recently I've become involved in, and it's going to be created here in Austin, but it's in the center, there's just needs to be a structure that is an energetic anchor. And so it's going to be a temple space. And on a functional level, what that is an event center, a retreat center, a place to hold workshops, hold events, hold concerts, just like a multi-use space, multi-use gathering space for people who are doing great things, and people who are bringing people together and transforming people and connecting people and kind of inviting people into a new way of being. So that's going to be the center of the community. So super dynamic, like high energy, awesome space, and there's infinite things that can be attached to that. It's like you've got a restaurant, you've got spa, you've got co-working space, you have an incubator space where it's like the kind of things that are going to be happening here, and the people that will be here, they're going to have ideas and they're going to want to create. So why not like stimulate that and provide them with the resources and the space to make that happen? So that's really like the center of the community. And then from there, kind of mandalas out, and you have commercial space, so like shops, restaurants, cafes, the sorts of things that people want to enjoy. And not just any, it's not, the idea is not to bring in like the chain stuff that's all over town.
Right.
It's like these are spaces that are going to be reserved for creators, like people who are coming up with new concepts, people from within the community who have an idea and they want to work on it there and like birth their dream. So that there's going to be that available, and then you get into the retail space or the residential space, and that's a mixture of apartment style living like this, and it's all going to be very European based, where I think Europe does a good job of, and a lot of European cities and a lot of the people on this project are living in Europe, and so they've been in these cities and they've studied these things, and a lot of Europe does a good job of fitting a lot of people into small spaces, like but not making it feel like you're on top of each other. And it rather than it being something that's not great, and which tends to happen in a lot of US cities, it's like downtown areas get congested and people just kind of feel like that hecticness of being in a city. It's like, how can we build a dense living environment that where people can experience the benefits that come from that, like being able to walk to the store, being able to walk to your favorite cafe, being able to go see your friend a few minutes away, without the congestion and the traffic and the dirtiness, like those sorts of things.
It seems like you've taken something that correct me if I'm wrong, but real estate sounds like it's your passion, or
I would say community spaces and inspiring spaces are my passion, and it's like there's real estate involved.
So you've taken something that you're good at then in real estate and combined it with something that sounds like it's your mission, and combining communities and really creating something where, because like when I think of that, let's just call it the temple project, right? When I think of a temple project and I think of multiple temple projects, I can't help but see the effects of that reverberating around a city, around a state, and then becoming more and more popular, and just changing the way that people think and interact with each other in general.
Right.
So that's a worthwhile mission. For sure.
Yeah, it's essentially like the CEO of this company, he says it's we're creating a new civilization. Like this isn't just there's a first project and you have to start small, but then we're going to scale it up, and it's like then when you create a model you can replicate it, and the idea is to build one of these outside of every major city.
So it would be outside of the Austin area?
Yeah, like within a half hour of Austin. Yeah.
What was the conception of this project like? Like, was it your idea? Did you join the team that already had that idea? Did you just mention the CEO?
Yeah, so this is a company that they were already a client of mine. Like I've helped them with financing in the past, and their friend, he's a friend through other friends, but this idea in general, I feel like it's something. It's not just their idea. It's not just coming to me. It's like it's coming through for the collective. Like everyone's having these ideas, and there's other projects of a similar type, and there's kind of just this desire, and it's almost like an urgent desire within a lot of people that's being stimulated to find a new way